I'm Mina Freed with CNET News in Los Angeles here at the Professional Developer Conference. I'm here with Rashid, the head of Microsoft Research. Microsoft's talked a lot about a lot of things at this conference, but one of the things that struck me is some of the technology that Microsoft's using to bring technology to those that have very little in emerging markets. Some of the clever things that Microsoft's done with some low-tech things. One of those is something called Project Green, which recently won an award. Rick, maybe you can tell me a little bit about Project Green?
Sure. So the Digital Green Project was really designed to extend the reach of the typical farm extension workers in India. I mean, the idea that you've got people who are relatively well trained in terms of how to manage crops, how to think about crop diseases and things of that sort. The notion is, can you extend their reach so that they can get out to a larger number of communities? There are never enough of these workers to really reach all the communities. So the idea behind the Digital Green Project was to take some relatively low-tech video capture technology, be able to create DVDs of these extension workers talking to farmers and talking about what farmers should be doing, and then creating these DVDs, getting them out to the communities in just portable DVD players. And really the idea behind this was to sort of multiply the effect of one of these workers tenfold, and to have a much bigger impact and help communities manage their crops better.
And obviously that gets at kind of the basic education component, best practices. One of the challenges with crops obviously is you want real-time data, and you guys have looked at another relatively low-tech piece of equipment to try and provide that, cell phones in this case. What does having cell phone access allow you to do?
Well, one of the things we found there is, again, many communities can't afford having a computer. They may not even have much in the way of communication ability, but there often is cell phone access. And often in these communities there may even only be one cell phone, or maybe two or three, and people will pool them or share them in some fashion. So we actually created a web service that allows text messages to be stored and forwarded and shared among these farmers so that they can actually get data about the current issues that might affect their crops. They can get data about the prices of the crops so that they can hopefully make more money by selling at the right time as opposed to the wrong time. And again, it's relatively low tech, but with a sort of a computer back end that extends the reach of the technology.
Healthcare is another one of those areas where you have a lot of expertise out there that really doesn't scale. It doesn't get out to where people need it. What are some of the things that Microsoft's research is looking at in terms of providing new ways of delivering healthcare?
Well, part of what we're looking at there is we're thinking is there a way of allowing someone to, for example, gather some information with their cell phone that they could then get to a doctor to help diagnose symptoms or solve problems. Again, in many of these emerging markets in these rural communities, there isn't a doctor. There isn't any way you can get a doctor there. And so if you can find a way, again, of multiplying the impact that a single doctor has, it really helps everyone.
And obviously that's at kind of the emerging markets ends. You guys are doing some really incredible stuff at the high end in healthcare. Obviously computing is changing the way drugs are developed and vaccines, but one of the things you talked about today is the fact that it's not just access to computers, but actually computer science is helping change the way researchers approach vaccines. Can you talk a little bit about how computer science is impacting the work being done on trying to find an AIDS vaccine?
Sure. I mean, one of the things we've been looking at is really taking advantage of the fact that DNA, life, really is digital. I mean, you can represent it as a string, you can analyze it that way, it's data. And so some of our research has been working with people in the AIDS community to come up with new ways of doing analysis of the structure of the virus in order to design vaccines that can get around the sort of constant mutation that AIDS undergoes. It's almost like trying to fight spam. I mean, AIDS is like the world's worst spammer. It's constantly mutating, it's constantly changing so that it can get around the immune system. What we're trying to do is come up with ways of analyzing the virus so that we can identify just those parts that are always going to be present. So a vaccine can target just those things and not get decoyed, because that's something that the AIDS virus does as well. It can decoy the immune system into, in effect, weakening itself.
Great. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thanks.